Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield, your source of trusted analysis. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. MP Ferrada from Hochelaga, Montreal, who is also the co-chair of the Liberal Campaign Committee, was on with Vasi Kapellas trying to explain to Canadians that, or to Vasi, that Canadians, though they don't have any money in their pocket and that the economy is actually better, that even though the Liberals are refusing to go into an election, that they're completely ready for election, even though they're calling Mark Carney in to give them economic advice, the Canadian economy is the best in the whole wide world and all the rest of it. The contradictions were just coming fast and furiously, one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. And of course, Vasi Kapellas being sharp and a little bit, at least, to the center, was calling her out on it, though much more politely than I would have done. However, before I get into it, I would encourage you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I face a lot of censorship. I routinely get videos that are doing really well, and then all of a sudden they just hit the wall and stop completely. And there's only really one reason why that would happen. So every time that you thumb up, every time that you leave a comment, it's like telling the Liberals exactly how you feel. And it shows the algorithm, or convinces the algorithm, that this channel should be shown, or at least this content should be shown to individuals who might not necessarily have heard of me or get me in their stream, in their feed. It was a 13-minute interview, and she didn't really say much beyond what you've already been hearing, that it's just a figure of your imagination, and somehow it's an enormous fluke that the Liberals have been in power for so long, and yet the state of the country is so bad, but it's not their fault. I'm going to let you listen to the first segment is about Mark Carney and how, on the one hand, they're saying that he is just coming in to save the economy, but on the other hand, the economy is just fine.
Numerous occasions on which your ministerial colleagues have pointed out to me that Canada's economic growth patterns are something to celebrate. So why do we now need a task force to study it?
It's not a task force to study what the economy should be, but a task force that adds on what the government's already doing. Because you know what? I mean, the economy, it is important, but what is the social progress that we want to have, and having the growth of the economy, fighting climate change? And I think it's important for Canadians to find a way and make sure that Canadians are listening to us. So I think it's a sign of confidence.
So I guess I'm a bit confused. Is he brought on in order to paint a contrast with the Conservative Party, or to better advance your government's policies to create more economic growth that people feel on an individual level?
That's a good question.
He's coming to the party, to the Liberal Party of Canada, to work with the party in order to make sure that we're ready for the next campaign, Canadians will have. And I think Mark Carney is the right person to add on to the party to make sure that we're having those conversations in a strategic way in terms of moving forward to the campaign.
Okay, so he's not there for economic assistance at all. He's a campaign manager. He's going to drive the Liberal Party into the next campaign, the next election. He's not there to try and further your agenda on the horrible policies that you've already implemented, in all likelihood on the advice of this very same individual. Just because he's come out from the shadows doesn't mean that he wasn't there right from the start. I mean, Chrystia Freeland boasts about how close she is to the man. So you have to ask yourself how much of his influence has already been on the economic policies. And you have to ask yourself how much of his influence has already partaken on the disastrous turn this country has undergone. But of course, as soon as you say something like that to her, it's not what you say it is, it's something completely different. It's almost like when they hear it out loud, spoken from somebody else, they realize how bad it sounds. And then they want to throw up some sort of smoke and mirrors to make you think that it's something other than what you just believed it, or you just interpreted her words to tell you that it was. Now, MP Ferrada will explain to you how it's not that you understand how bad the budget is and how high your rent has gone and how high gas prices are and how high grocery prices are. She and the Liberal Party are not doing a good enough job explaining to you how, despite all of that, your life is in great shape. You can't even make it up.
Is there, wholesale change in store for Canadian voters?
I think what we need to make sure is that Canadians are understanding that not only the economy is going well, we have a strong economy in this country, and that economy is growing.
When you break that down per person, the situation is very different. The IMF, for example, pardon me, the economy has now fallen behind its population growth for the fifth straight quarter. Compared to the same period last year, per capita GDP is now down 2.2%. It sounds like what you're saying is as long as you tell Canadians that the Conservatives will take everything away, they will realize that your government actually is on the right path. But the data seems to support the sentiment that they've been expressing to you through public opinion polling that they don't feel that way.
Well, there's one thing I'm going to agree with you, is that economy is doing well, but people don't feel it in their pockets. People don't feel that at the end of the month, they can make sure that they're paying their groceries. So I get that.
Oh, well, she gets it, So I guess despite the fact that year over year, the economy has shrunk, the GDP has shrunk 2.2%, in addition to the inflation rate going up, which is so now you have less coming in and you have more going out. And MP Ferrada wants you to think that because of that, despite that, what's really happening is that you are just not educated enough to understand what they're doing. All the while, they're trying to make you believe that by giving you dental care, these problems are going to go away. Cheap rent? Nah. You want a reduction in the grocery prices? Nah, that's not going to help. Giving daycare to a small, very small selection of the society, that's going to make all of the difference. The fact that we don't have as many manufacturing jobs and the fact that there's no forestry jobs and that all the jobs that were good in this country have been attacked by the carbon tax, that's not the situation. What really matters is that despite the shrinking economy, you might not get free dental if you elect a conservative. But that's not condescending in any way, shape, or form. It's just that, they're elitist and educated, and you don't know any better when your money comes in that somehow there's not enough of it. And the things that you used to be able to afford, you can no longer afford. Despite telling you that it's your misconception. It's not that your money's not going as far as it was and that you don't have as much of it. This is all just a misconception. And the Liberals are going to go door to door and explain it to you. Now, Vassy, to her credit, calls her out on it, makes it very plain that the Liberals keep saying that it's not their fault, that it's somebody else's fault. A butterfly turned left in China, and the Canadian economy is in tatters as a result. The response from MP Ferrada, it's right, and it would give MP Singh a go for his money. It's just, what?
Yeah, but respectfully, you've been in office for 9 years, Minister. Your government has been there for 9 years. Those programs that you say you just need to better communicate, Canadians are not telling you through public opinion polling or their own well-being, as you just expressed it, that those programs are actually making a salient difference in their lives. Does your government not bear responsibility for the place Canadians find themselves in now?
100%.
And don't you, as a result, need to present them something different than just, we will keep on doing the same until you realize how much we've helped you? Didn't your government help to lead them to that place? But
Absolutely.
It's as though you're saying it just happened, right? Canadians just got to this point because of other stuff, nothing to do with our government. Do you understand the connection Canadians have made that they're lying blame at your feet for a lot of this? And in response, you're not presenting them anything new.
Well, I agree again with you around the fact that we have a responsibility to have those conversations with Canadians. The global stage right now is in uncertainty. And what we have to say to Canadians, and who do you trust to lead you through those changes? And I think our Prime Minister will be the candidate for the next campaign. And he's a
You have no doubt?
really good campaigner. I have no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that we need to go to the doors and do a campaign, and the general campaign matters, and we have to be ready for that campaign. We need to have that campaign, and we'll be ready to have that campaign when it starts.
So you need to do the campaign and you want to have the campaign, but you're not ready to have the campaign. But when you are ready to have the campaign, when it starts, you're going to be ready to have the campaign as long as you do the campaign of going to the door and telling Canadians that they're not actually flat broke, that they're not struggling, that they're not worried about having to give the food and to keep a home, a house, a roof over their head and the head of their loved ones. Because it's global uncertainty. And I think that she asked a very, very, very good question. Who do you trust to get you out of this mess? Is it the Liberal Party and Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney, a board sitting member of the World Economic Forum? Or is it someone who believes that Canada should come before all of the international influences? I mean, it's the choice you can make. You could also, there's other choices. There's that group in New Brunswick. You could vote for them, the Future Party. You could vote for the Greens. You could vote for Jagmeet. And there's the People's Party of Canada, right? The PPC. You could vote for them if you want. So there's other choices besides, Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau. And what you have to ask yourself is, which one do you trust to get you out of this mess? Now, you might not necessarily want to make a decision right out of the gate, but so I would just ask you, do you trust Justin Trudeau to get you out of this mess? Do you trust the party that is telling you one thing, doing another, and if you confront them on it at all, it's some phantom problem of the globe, right? It's not they didn't do it. It's the globe. You got to ask yourself, which do you believe? Leave me a comment. Do you think that the Liberal Party got us into this mess, or do you think that they're the ones to get us out of this mess? All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank y'all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.